6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Peace, everyone. Welcome to the listening party for Thursday, October 9th, 2025. I'm Eric Leo 108, author, rapper, philosopher, and today I'm debuting a brand new track like I do every week. It's called Charlie Kirk. This is protest rap and political commentary. Some offensive language is going to be used to critique ideology, not promote hate. This is an artistic protest and part of a broader sociology slash rebel commentary you can find in my Helm 108 community on skool.com, skool.com. If you want to understand why I call Charlie a terrorist Nazi bigot, read his words and quotes at charliequotes.com. Okay. This week's this track that we're reviewing is called Charlie Kirk. Before we jump in, drop where you're watching from and let me know if you read the blog post at fiance.com. Check out the store. I could really use your support. If you hear something in the track that hits you, type it in the comments. Let's go bar for bar today. Okay, I'm going to play a segment of the track, most appropriate segment I can find. Most appropriate segment that I can expand on. And who made the beat? Raini Beats. It doesn't feature anyone. It's not Cosmic Love, and let's get into it. I'm just gonna listen to this once and give commentary, and then I'm gonna read the blog post that I wrote about this song. So. Culture of violence, authoritarianism, anti-intellectual Latin racism, replacement theory, DI clearly, election denial, is this appealing? Civil rights was a mistake, Floyd had no case, blacks caused more crimes, his words not mine, let's face it. Okay, so I'm basically saying, I'm giving Charlie a voice, whether people don't listen to what he says. A lot of people that defend Charlie don't listen to his actual words, or if they think it's taken out of context, but it's not. You can go read his quotes. He says the same thing like a million different ways. He's done it on his Media Matters site. These are the things he promotes. What I just said, I wanted to give him a voice and let everybody know what he's all about. So, yeah. You like him because you're a piece of shit. On the real, Charlie's death was a gift to the Trump administration so they could get. So, basically, the Trump administration used Charlie's death as a catalyst to put in like authoritarian measures. Saying it was the radical left's fault. Those are Donald Trump's words. Yeah, he just used it as an excuse to pummel his enemies. I don't know how to put it. To justify oppression of the rest, 18,000 have died this year from gun violence, but Charlie brings you to tears. Cherry picked to F. 18,000 have died this year from gun violence, and that's true, but all of a sudden we're supposed to care about a political commentator that died from gun violence, that stoked violence, stoked a culture of violence, and aligned with Nazi ideologies. Like, I'm more upset about the kids. I have songs about how school children are dying and how I'm upset about that. I'm a former teacher, so it's like, don't get me wrong. Like, if this is what takes you to get like involved and end gun violence, then sweet. All right, I'll give it to Charlie. But that's not
I mean, more school shootings are happening and they forgot about it. And they're still hung up on Charlie. They don't realize the bigger picture of like this is gun violence and we have to do something about gun violence. So they're just upset that it was one of theirs, and they don't do anything about the larger picture that's affecting all Americans.
Pick the fuck, we have to lower our flags, but Melissa and her husband don't get.
Melissa and her husband don't get that. I'm talking about the Democratic senator, I think it was a senator, congressman that died, and her husband. They were shot, I think, in their home, um, and then Trump doesn't lower the flags for him, but he'll lower the flags for a podcaster that aligns with Nazi ideology. So
Let's analyze why terrorism on the rise since 9/11. That's by design.
since 9/11, that's by design. So there's this thing in um, America where we have to fight terrorism. So it's created an industry where we're kind of dependent on. It's like the terrorism industrial complex where terrorism happens, like school shootings happen, then um, the news gets a sensational story. I talk about this in my song "Money" um, from the Corporate Rule album. Sorry for people in school. I just turned off the noise cancellation. You probably haven't been able to hear this, but I've been saying the lyrics, and you can listen to the song. Um, schools like the news gets a sensational story. The police get more funding. Congressmen can say, "Oh, we have to give more protections," and they get more lobby money. This is like a cycle in America, where the more deaths that happen, the more outrage they can create, the more money they can create in outrage to be able to, as an effect, without addressing the real problem. So the problem continues. Um, in a way, this I say this for Charlie. So strange, change your strategy. That's how it's for Charlie, because whether he knows it or not, he died by a system that, although he was perpetuating violence, um, I hope people that like him realize the bigger picture, that this is about how we have an industry that a war industry that perpetuates itself through this fight of terrorism.
I make no mistake, his corpse a puppet. Vance got his hand up his ass and running with it. Don't talk to me.
So after Charlie died, Vance apparently was friends with Charlie, so he went on his podcast and did a episode with him and said some false things. What did he say that was false? He said one glaring thing that was false that made it in the news. But he basically just puppeted Charlie for his own agenda. And like, I don't like Charlie, but he shouldn't be doing that. Like, especially if you respect the man. Like, he's saying he respects the man, but he's using his death as to score political points. Like, it's disgusting. I don't understand how like people that like Charlie would like agree with this.
About morality.
So don't talk to me about morality.
Watch kids get shot and then act casually. But when a Nazi gets shot, it's some Greek tragedy.
So that's basically how I feel about it. Like, all these 18,000 people have died, a lot of them children, and then Charlie dies, and all of a sudden we're supposed to grieve for this person that was a bigot and aligned with Nazi ideologies, and like I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. I'm like already upset. Like, this is numbing. Like, people that have a soul are like already really distraught about this type of thing in America, and how we have to live with it. And then we're supposed to like all of a sudden, like when this podcaster that aligns with Nazi ideologies and is fascist and a bigot dies, we're supposed to like grieve, and like you grieve because of that. Like, no, you're a piece of garbage person. Like, this is what makes you care about it, was basically a Nazi dying. I guess.
Broken love is your business.
So broken love is the Republicans' business. They they cultivate a culture of violence, um, by not banning guns, and then Charlie has been known to say maybe it's worth it that people die in gun violence to preserve the Second Amendment. So if it once it happens to him, it's like some Greek tragedy. But when it happens to other people, that's just what needs to happen to preserve the Second Amendment. Like, this is what I'm saying. Go to charliequotes.com.
Is what you want. Some good Christian.
So, real Christians that follow Jesus' teachings and are not Christo-fascists and are using Jesus as an excuse to be a horrible person would not agree with Charlie's. I don't think they would celebrate his death or anything, but they wouldn't mourn Charlie's death. Like, real Christians in America need to stand up and be like, this is not us, because they're giving Jesus' name such a bad name. And like, I'm with real Christians, but the problem is people that claim to be Christian are doing things like supporting a bigot and not speaking out against it. So what do I want? This is real. Like, what do I want? Some good Christians. This is what I want. It's America. You want to talk about morality? If you want to be able to stand on any ground, you got to follow Jesus' teachings and be a real Christian and stand up against things like this. Otherwise, you're just molding Christianity into something it's not, and a tool to be for oppression instead of representing the oppressed.
But blame women are vindictive. Embrace disease for your children.
Okay, so embrace disease for your children. There's that whole RFK situation where he's taken over the National Health Service, DHS, and everything, and is making it harder to get vaccines. And I don't even want to go into it. I'm not a medical person, but I'm not stupid. And he basically, like, things like measles are on the rise because the herd immunity has been lowered. So people who are immunocompromised, or children that are immunocompromised, are at risk of dying from measles, for example, because it's come back and we don't have herd immunity. So, and that's thanks to RFK and not and him breaking down public trust in vaccines. Okay. So that was the segment I was going to play from Charlie Kirk. I will say, Charlie did not deserve to die. However, it's like a bully on the playground that goes around saying we need to be allowed to punch people in the face to keep order, basically, or make this playground better. And then he gets punched in the face, and then it's everybody's upset that the leader that stoked the violence for the rest of the playground, they're upset that he got punched in the face. Like, no, you kind of deserve it, but he didn't deserve to die. So nobody deserves to die by gun violence. It's all awful, but at a certain degree, he stoked the flames of his own death. That's for sure. He could have at least done a better job. And it's unfortunate that he couldn't come back from this and realize his own mistakes. So, okay, so Charlie Cook, I'm going to read you the blog post I made. This is at fiance.com/blog/ Charlie Kirk. So Charlie Kirk protests rap and politics of grief. Introduction: protest hip hop in age of authoritarianism. Hip hop has always been a battleground for truth. From Public Enemy to Kendrick Lamar, the genre has been a weapon. We just lost TikTok. Has been a weapon against racism, inequality, and authoritarian power. With my new track, Charlie Kirk, I extend that lineage, targeting the hypocrisy of a culture that evaluates demagogues while ignoring daily violence against the vulnerable. The song is not satire for shock value, it's protest rap, a direct indictment of the ideology that glorifies guns, denies systemic oppression, and turns fascism into martyrs. The title itself is Confrontation. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, has been elevated by conservatives into defender of freedom, yet his rhetoric reflects core fascist traits: authoritarianism, scapegoating, anti-intellectualism, and a culture of violence. By putting these into rhyme and rhythm, the song exposes their absurdity and danger, Republicans' hypocrisy, and the culture of violence. The track opens with the blunt repetition. I'm not gonna read it. You can. I'm not trying to piss Republicans off here. This is the understanding behind the track. I am trying to. It is. It is minorly trying. It's not minorly, but I am trying to get your goat basically in the song if you're a Republican. It's supposed to wake you up, get your attention, and give you social antagonism to what you think is right. The hook is not random, but in the hook is not random insult, but a hammer of protest. It mirrors the monotonous propaganda of the right flipped back on its source. Republican leaders like Kirk have normalized violence, treating it as a necessary cost of liberty. Kirk once said gun deaths are an unfortunate but acceptable price to preserve the Second Amendment. This utilitarian cruelty reduces lives to collateral damage, yet when violence struck him, conservatives lower the flags, flood the media with mourning, and treat his death like a national tragedy. This is the hypocrisy the song calls out. Thousands of children die in school and neighborhoods every year, but those deaths rarely provoke flag lowering or seldom news cycles, or solemn news cycles. The grief only surfaces when power itself feels lost. that is broken love and a love of ideology, profit, and violence that never extends to human dignity. Authoritarianism and anti-intellectualism. Through the verses, Kirk's own words echo authoritarian ideals. He calls for military occupation of American cities. He belittled ex, expertise and dismissed higher education as an indoctrination. These are not scattered slips. They present a consistent rejection of democracy, reason, and pluralism. The refrain, listen close, pushes an audience, it's actually an ad that pushes the audience to recognize these contradictions. Authoritarianism thrives on distortion, rewriting history, and silencing dissent. By putting those distortions in rhyme, protest rap reclaims clarity. Charlie Kirk functions as both a diss track and a syllabus. Its names it names authoritarian traits, replacement theory, election denial, racism, forcing listeners to hear them as part of a pattern. The beat carries the critique, the rhyme makes it unforgettable. Racism, replacement theory, and scapegoating. Kirk's statements have consistently trafficked in racist scapegoating. He repeated myths about black communities and dismissed the Civil Rights Act. He amplified replacement theory, insisting that immigration is a deliberate plot to erase white Americans. Like I said in the song, his words, not mine. He thinks blacks cause more crimes, not that they're over policed, and their communities have historically been, how do I want to say it, disenfranchised. My lyrics respond directly. Culture of violence, authoritarianism, anti-intellectual Latin racism, replacement theory, DI Cleary, election denial. Is this appealing? I'm like asking, I'm showing you what he is. Like I'm showing you what he talks about in the song, and like at the same time, like this is why people are for him. So if I just want to make it clear, if you're defending him, this is what you're defending: culture of violence, authoritarianism, anti-intellectualism, Latin racism, replacement theory, DI. I just said clearly, but I'm like feeding into it. Election denial. So the bars read like an indictment. Each line catalogs the element of fascism, fascist ideology. Hip hop here is not abstract art. It is a charge sheet set to rhythm. Grief for Nazis, silence. Grief for Nazis, silence for children. Perhaps the starkest contradiction in America's response to death. More than 18,000 people died from gun violence in 2025 before Kirk's death, yet those victims, often children, were met with shrugs, thoughts, and prayers. When Kirk was killed, the conservative establishment demanded reverence, casting him as a martyr. The song confronts this paradox head on. Watch kids get shot and then act casually, but when a Nazi gets shot, it's some great tragedy. This double standard reveals what I call Christo-fascist morality. This is what we were talking about with how real Christians should stand up against this. A worldview that's This double standard reveals what I call Christo-fascist morality. A worldview that sacrifices racists and martyrs under the cross while erasing the suffering of innocence. It tells us exactly where political grief lies, on the side of power, not people. Terrorism is a business model. Another theme in the song is the commodification of tragedy. Terrorism is our business model, calls out how death and violence are monetized. Conservative media thrives on fear narratives. Gun manufacturers profit from the culture of violence. Politicians convert outrage into donations and political leverage. School shootings, healthcare denials, and international crises like Palestine's are flooded into the same machine. Under capitalism fused with authoritarian policies, death itself becomes a product. The more blood, the more profit. By highlighting this, the track ties Kirk's ideology to the systematic profit motive. His rhetoric was not just hateful, it was functional to an economy that thrives on fear. Refusing to grieve fascists, the central message of the track's is a central message of the track is refusal. Refusal to grieve for those who glorify hate, refuse accountability, and weaponize tragedy. The core the chorus embodies this. Instead of elegy, it repeats, yeah, I'm not going to say that. This is not disrespect for life itself, but a refusal to sanitize fascism. If society can ignore the slaughter of school children, then it cannot demand solemnity when an architect of hate meets consequence. Protest rap owes no eulogy to oppressors. Hip hop is counter history. Protest rap does more than condemn, it preserves truth. Charlie Kirk is counter history. The official record may remember Kirk as a victim, but hip hop archives his words and the ideology he embodied. This has always been the role for rap. NWA captured police brutality when the mainstream denied it. Dead Prez named systematic racism in an era of denial. Today, Charlie Kirk ensures that future listeners, Charlie Kirk the song, future listeners hear not just the beat, but a record of hypocrisy and authoritarianism in America. Conclusion: why this song matters. Charlie Kirk is more than a diss track. It's an act of sociological resistance. It refuses to mourn fascists while children die unprotected. It catalogs the traits of authoritarianism and racism, showing their links to capitalist profiteering. It turns Kirk's own ideology against him, set to rhythm for clarity and permanence. This song matters because silence is complicity. Hip hop at its core has never been silent in the face of oppression. By naming names and refusing false grief, Charlie Kirk stands in the lineage of protest rap that exposes the lies of power. The song does. For an archive of words, go to charliequotes.com, and for those who want further study, I also expand upon these ideas in my rebel/sociology posts on my Helm 10 or rebel/sociology course on my Helm 108 school community, where the analysis runs deeper into an ideological framework behind this track. Okay, that took a half hour. Okay. That's all I wanted to say. I appreciate you hearing me out, even if the track pissed you off. You're not supposed to like it, by the way. I do make some of my music to be hated. It's not always flower and roses. It's part of branding. It's who you stand against and everything like that. So, anyways, yeah, that's the presentation. I hope you liked it. That's it. That's all I have to say. Let's see. Thank you for tapping in with me. This was the Thursday listening party for October 9th, 2025. If you want a deeper dive, check out the full blog breakdown that I just read at fiance.com/blog. Stream the song on all platforms, and don't forget to leave a review for my books and music. You would understand this a lot more if you read Farming Humans. Go to farminghumans.com for more. Stream it on all platforms, and don't forget to leave a review for my books and music. Every listen, every comment helps this movement grow. I'll see you on Friday, tomorrow, same time, same vibe, brand new track with my song Yeah We Bang Too. Join the school community, Helm 108. Songs, albums, books, both physical and digital merch, and more can be found at fience.com, spelled FIENSE.com. Alright. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of my family. You're awesome. I love you very much. Until next time, you take care, alright? Bye.